In this lesson, we're now going to take a look at drawing dynamic form gestures. And very much like drawing dynamic shape gestures, we want to use all the theory we've learned so far that's going to help us draw these gestures out effectively. Now, let me just say before we begin, if you are feeling like, hey, I need more practice with dynamic forms, then what you could definitely do is draw a dynamic shape gesture first and then use that shape gesture as a guide to draw the form on top. If you feel you grasp dynamic forms, let's just jump straight into the dynamic forms. All right, let's get right into it. So just like usual, we're going to start with a head shape. I'm going to use form head shape here, get a center line down there, draw in the form of the face. Just a basic form there. Try and keep my proportions relatively fine. And then I want to get my line of action in as close to possible as the original. All right, I feel like I'm not exaggerating that line of action enough. So I'm going to just kind of curve it a little bit more. Here we go. And then I can get my tilt lines in, my horizontal tilts, just to guide me as I draw out the form. Okay, those are a little bit parallel, almost. And then the pelvis is around here. All right. And now that I have those in, I can then start drawing in dynamic forms to try and mimic the forms that I'm seeing. I think in this instance, I'm going to start with the chest, have the line of action guide me as I'm drawing in the form here. Just checking my width there. Maybe it's more like this. I'm just drawing in some basic forms, getting in those basic forms. Just going to draw a sphere for the stomach area. And the pelvic line, well, the ilium crest is around here, so I'm going to draw that there. Look at that. And then I'm going to draw the forms for the legs in, which are really our dynamic tubes, and I'm drawing through there to really feel it. And as for the feet, I'm just going to use a basic form here for that. Nothing too crazy. Draw in this front leg in a form-based sense. And let's do the arms here. This one seems to be moving at that kind of angle. And here, once again, we're not wanting to replicate the anatomy perfectly, right? We'll get to anatomical gestures where that's really our goal, is we want to try and get the anatomy as close as possible. Here, what we're really striving to do again is get that dynamism, but get it in a forms sense. So we want to feel the dynamism in a form sense, start learning to draw the figure and see the forms of the figure, right, with the dynamism moving through them. So using that shape theory to get that dynamism in there and moving through there. Okay, I'm just going to weight this line up just so we can see that the head is in front. And that's relatively okay. I don't like this curvature happening over here. I think because I had redrawn it a little bit, I want this form to kind of read more in that sense. So we get that nice replicating crunch there, stretch here, stretch here. All right. And that is effectively drawing the form-based gesture from reference. And you can see that it is rough. You can see that it is loose. It's messy. It's not beautiful. And again, I want to reiterate, that is the point, right? We will get to beautiful. We will get there. And I just want to, I want to stick on this point and say, I see it so often with my students struggling to draw gestures because they have that fear in them of like, this doesn't look good and it's a bad representation of me and it's making me look bad because it looks terrible. That's not the point. We're learning. So please be rough, be loose. It must look fairly loose, fairly rough. And this is going to help you be quick. It's going to help you be rough and loose. There is a time for neatness and professionalism, and there is a time for being rough and loose. And once again, I use the construction side analogy, or someone baking a cake in the kitchen. Those things do not happen neatly. You do not build a building neatly, right? So think about that, and I hope that's encouraging to you, and let's move on to the next lesson.